What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Palm City Chucks. We are back. We missed you. We got a special one for you here. College only this episode, people. It is a college show. So we're going to do like we do. We're going to recap last week's games. And it was rivalry weekend. So, lots of good games going on. We saw some craziness, and we're going to get into it. Let's start with the ranked matchups. We had 15 South Carolina go up against 12 Clemson, in which South Carolina won 17-14. Were you surprised there at all?
No, I wasn't. I think I picked South Carolina, actually, to win that game.
Yeah, I
Um,
did. I know that. But, yeah, I,
it,
I wasn't surprised either. But sorry, go ahead.
it doesn't. It didn't matter because Syracuse went out and beat Miami, so Clemson still made the ACC championship. So it was inconsequential.
Yep.
I mean, that's really the big takeaway of that one for me. Clemson lost and still makes it to the ACC championship.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, there were so many upsets, teams so close, bust your ass all year, and you're one game away, and you just collapse. I mean, you hate to see it. And I don't really care for Miami, but still hate to see it. But yeah, South Carolina won that one. Um, Not something they haven't done, in that rivalry. A lot of times Clemson comes out on top, but yeah, this year Clemson just, it's not the Clemson I shouldn't even say we're used to because I feel like they haven't been the last few years, but 5 years ago they were one of the top teams in the country, but yeah, they're struggling as of late.
No, definitely. Dabo's had a few rough years,
Yeah.
past few years, so I'm
I
sure they'll
chalked it
turn it
up to
around.
quarterback play in the past, but maybe it's deeper than that.
Might be. I feel like he'll bounce back. I mean, they're a pretty good program for a
Yeah,
while, as you said, and it's pretty recent, just a few down years.
right.
But can't go on for too much longer. They're too big of a program, and too
Right.
many big names for it to continue.
Exactly. You start losing your recruiting and transfer portal, all that stuff if you're going downhill for too long.
Yep, exactly.
All right. Let's move on to another one, an SEC matchup. Number 3 Texas versus 20 Texas A&M. Another one I personally got correct. I went Texas here, and not the game I expected here at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
17-7 final score.
Yep.
Certainly not what I thought that game was going to be.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I mean, there were moments watching this game where it seemed like Texas was just leaving the door open, like time and time again, and it was like, this is gonna bite them, and it just kind of never did. But yeah, it was weird. Like I was expecting a comeback, so many different points during that game, and kudos to their defense staying strong. But yeah, Texas's offense didn't really impress me, especially for being, you know, 3 seed at the time. You'd
yep.
expect a little more juice, and A&M, I expected more juice from them too. Like I said, I didn't expect a 17-7 here. I thought it was going to be more of a shootout, especially with A&M being at home too. To just drop 7, like, come on.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. But I mean, Texas has been dominant.
Right. And we
They
can't
really
forget
have.
too what this game meant. Like the winner of this was making the SEC championship game.
Yep.
So yeah, to be at home against your rival and you score 7 in a game that means that much, I mean it's tough. But after what they did to LSU, I'm fine with it.
I almost forgot what they did to LSU. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, I did not
I'll look
forget.
it up
I
later.
won't forget.
Yeah, I know. But don't worry, your season's over, so
Yeah.
can move on to the next.
True
Actually, I
that.
guess you have a bowl game coming up.
Yeah.
You got the 6 wins,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I'm sure the bowl game's going to be real great.
yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Like the Maybe
It's
we'll
gonna
get
be
that.
like Tony's pork rind game or some shit. Like yippee! And all the guys that
Yeah.
all the prospects that are looking to be drafted aren't gonna suit up, and yeah, we'll probably lose to a team we really shouldn't. And yeah, we'll be
You're
looking
so
forward to
confident.
next year. I just
Yeah.
know how this goes. I just know how this goes.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Let's move on to the last ranked matchup of last week. Iowa State, Kansas State. This one played out about how I expected, a really close competitive game from both sides. I did pick Iowa State here. And
Yeah.
I mean, they earned it. They played a good game. It was Kansas State's had some good wins this year. They've played well. Iowa State, kudos to them. This is the first 10-win season in their program history. And did you
Wow.
know that it leaves Vanderbilt as the only FBS school to never have a 10-win season?
No kidding. I did not know that.
I saw
Um,
that the other
and
day.
that's surprising too. Like Iowa State, I've been like a casual fan of theirs for many years. Like I like they're like a gritty team. They always seem to pull an upset or two every year. Um, but they've had years where they've been solid. That's surprising to me. They never got the 10, especially since I've only been watching for so long, and they've had solid years. So yeah, that's very surprising to me. But yeah, I agree. I expected this game to play out kind of this way, pretty close, and I too picked Iowa State, and yeah, happy with the results there.
Yeah, I believe it. Now let's move on to
Yeah,
some
let's talk
unranked
crazy.
games. Yeah, I'm gonna let you decide where we go next.
Okay, well
You
we
know where I want to go, but
yeah,
I'll let you
exactly. We'll
decide.
ramp up to that.
Yeah.
So I have three down. One being the one I'm gonna let you have the floor on. Um, let's start with this one here. We had 17 Tulane go up against Memphis, in which Memphis won by 10 points. I thought that was quite surprising. Less surprising than the ones we'll get to, but certainly an upset. And yeah, it was just shocking to me. I feel like Tulane had like a well balanced program, like offense, defense, everything looked pretty good. So for them to give up 34 like that to Memphis, which hasn't really been impressive since their move of leaving the AAC. Um, but yeah, it's interesting.
No, I agree. I mean, Tulane's had a really good year all around. I mean, they are, well, they were in the AAC championship game. We are filming post Friday night
Yes, we are.
championship games. We will let you all know that they were in that game. Um, but I mean, they still made it. Was inconsequential there, but yeah, Memphis, not a team I expected to put up 34 points there, and
Yeah,
Tulane to drop that game by 10 points. I really wasn't expecting that, but it certainly made me expect what just happened about an hour ago. So,
yeah, which we'll get to that, but I do have to correct myself. Memphis is still in the AAC. I thought they were one of the teams that left for a moment there, but yeah, they are still in the AAC, which explains why they're playing Tulane.
yeah,
Just a doofus moment there, but yeah. Regardless, I mean Tulane's been solid for many years now, and yeah, just didn't expect that one. Figured that was worth mentioning. Now, on to another one you kind of mentioned earlier. Six Miami losing to Syracuse.
yeah,
I thought this was surprising. If they were gonna lose this game, I wouldn't expect it to be a high scoring affair. Like I would guess that them playing in Syracuse, like the weather maybe would impact it, something like that, a low scoring game. But Cam Ward and Miami, they were doing their usual. They scored 38 in this game and came away with an L, which that really stings.
no, it does. It does. I mean, Cam's defense has let him down time and time again this
Oh
year,
yeah. How many
so I
fourth
can't
quarter
say.
comebacks does this team have to pull off?
Yeah, so I
Apparently
can't
they
say
needed
that
one
it
more.
was. Yeah. Can't say this result is surprising, honestly. Given that their defense is just terrible, and Syracuse isn't horrible, and they got McCord, played for Ohio State, so they've got some pieces as well. But I certainly didn't expect Miami to actually drop this game, and especially with the importance of it. That's the
Right.
situation here. You win, you get to your conference championship game, probably cementing a playoff spot at least there, and still in play for a bye. So to drop that, fully drop out of the playoff, that's a tough rivalry weekend right there.
Oh yeah, that's heartbreaking. Speaking of heartbreak, what's the game, AJ? What's the game?
Uh, this wasn't heartbreak. This was pure joy. Let's be clear on that, all right?
All right.
Michigan, Ohio State. My friends, what happened here? What happened here? Ohio State as is in the shoe in Columbus. Ryan Day has dropped the last 3 against Michigan. This
Hmm.
is the year, right? This is the year. 20 million on the roster. Michigan's having a down year. I
Yep.
mean, they're in Columbus. It's
Yeah.
it's all right there for the
What
taking.
more do you want?
Yeah, they get their rematch with Oregon with a win. No questions asked.
Yep.
What do they do? What do they do? They go out there and to this trash Michigan team, who, by the way, didn't even have Will Johnson, a likely top 5 pick in this upcoming year's NFL draft at corner, didn't have him, lost.
Yeah.
They go out and lose
Yeah.
at home
Put up 10
and
points.
drop, yeah, 10 points. 10 points. Eh, Like, what are we doing here? Kicker goes out and misses a 38 and a 34-yard field goal
Yep.
in this game at home. What are we doing here? Like, do not get me wrong. I loved it for obvious reasons. For what they
Yeah.
for I hate Ohio State. That's obvious as a Penn State guy. And
Yeah.
also, Penn State gets into the Big Ten championship
Yep.
game. Losing this was worst case scenario for Ryan Day. He might actually lose his job over this. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
if they
mean,
don't get back to the Big Ten championship game, I mean, I, I, I don't know what else to say really. Like, this is just unacceptable from this guy.
oh
And
yeah.
I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
They went
I
out
mean, they
there
had
and
a
played
you
like crap.
yeah, I mean, you said it. They were home, must-win game. I mean, they had the better roster. I mean, it's just to score 10. I mean, talk about playing a Michigan style game like exactly what Michigan wanted.
Yep.
Because as we know, their offense has been, putrid most of the year, and they were only going to win this game if they held Ohio State to, under 14, something like that. And yeah, I mean even 14 they would have lost. But yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's honestly unbelievable, but I mean this is what we talk about with college. Like these are young dudes like haven't really been exposed to moments like this. And, Ohio State's kicker, for example, like those were probably the biggest kicks of his life. And he forgot if he's right-footed or left-footed. So, yeah, it's it's craziness, but I love it. It's exciting, and like you said, what a gift for Penn State. They
No,
have
it
they
is.
have a big moment ahead of them. They could
Oh,
they could do something great. Save Franklin. Save him.
see, I mean, we're gonna get into that. We'll get into that later. But I'm curious. What do you think that Ryan Day, I mean, should be fired from Ohio State? I guess there's still season to go, and he can maybe redeem himself in the playoffs.
Right.
Obviously, if he wins it, he's not going anywhere. But let's say he
Yeah.
doesn't. Let's just say he doesn't win it, right? This is his 4th time in a row losing to Michigan. That is the game. That's the game.
Yeah. That's their
And
that's their big one. And
but he
he had a flop
is
4 straight. That's rough.
but he's 60 and 10 outside of Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Is that
I
a guy you
think
fire?
it's too soon to say. his job is safe if the season ended today. I would say his job is safe even with the problems against Michigan. Now, if he goes out in the first playoff game and they score 10 and they lose, like maybe he's not so safe. But I don't think that will happen. They're probably a team that's going to win a playoff game and potentially even more. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's too soon. You got to see what he does in playoffs. At the end of the day, he got his team in the playoffs. That's your goal. I mean, yeah, you want to win the Big Ten. You have these other side quests, but at the end of the day, you want to fight for the chip, and he's in a position to do that. So I think he has earned his job. We will see what he does in playoffs, and then grade from there. But I think you're right to bring it up because some people might think that's crazy. The guy's 60-10 or whatever the stat was outside
Yeah,
of what was that, outside of conference play or
outside of Michigan. Outside of
outside of
Michigan.
okay. But yeah, it's that's remarkable. I mean, a lot of teams would kill for that. Now, is it because of him or is it because of the roster around him, the other coaches, everything else that comes with being a part of Ohio State? And I think that's kind of what they have to figure out. And as we know, as these games get bigger and bigger, the job of being a coach comes like it's more and more important. So, yeah, I think we'll see in playoffs if he is worthy of sticking around or not.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, that was awesome. There's really nothing else to be said there. That was awesome. Thank you for that, Michigan. You won't catch me saying that very often, but
No,
thank
no.
you, Michigan. And with that, let's move on to before championship weekend kicked off. What is the playoffs looking like? I mean, we got a few intriguing placements here, a couple fun matchups in the first round.
Oh,
I
totally.
mean, let's start teams with the bye. Oregon 1, Texas 2, SMU at the 3. That's for SMU getting a bye, and Boise State getting a bye. If you told me at the beginning of the
Yeah, who
year
called that?
that Boise State and SMU 1 week to go would be projected to get buys in the playoff, I would have called you crazy.
Yeah,
But here we are. As you said a few minutes ago, that's college.
yeah.
That's college. I mean,
It's awesome. I love it.
and then
Although it's
outside of
also a
that,
shame because I
it
feel
is
like these teams are going to get the bye week and then host a playoff game and lose right away. But
probably.
yeah.
I mean, that is honestly, it's kind of fun. There's a lot of really good teams on the outside of a bye.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're going to have to duke it out.
100%.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of, let's start talking about some of those. Going up, the winner going up against Boise State right now, projected 12 Arizona State, 5 Penn State. I'd love that matchup. I really would love that matchup.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah,
that
that's
matchup is
favorable
not
for Penn
going to
State.
happen. Yeah, it's not going to happen because going into this weekend, Penn State wins. They're going to move into a bye,
Yep.
the 1 or 2 seed for sure. And if they lose, they'll be moving towards the back end of the playoffs. That's certainly not something we want to see. Like, as you just said, there are quite a few good teams that are going to have to duke it out
Yep.
the farther out you go.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm not trying to do that. I'll take a bye and then duke it out in the second round. But
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll talk about that game later. Another matchup, and this is one of those games. SMU's going to have to take on Bama or Notre Dame. I mean, that's just a really tough entry into the
Yeah.
playoff right there.
Yep.
I certainly wouldn't want to be playing Bama. I don't care that they're the 11 seed. They're absolutely the favorite in that game.
Oh
Same
yeah.
with Notre Dame. Same with
Right.
Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, if you're SMU, you already your season is complete. You won. I mean, you're beyond happy with that outcome. Like we said, nobody, even themselves, they wouldn't expect to be where they're at. So, not that they should be complacent. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna try, but it's Bama and Notre Dame, so
it's true.
that's gonna be tough go.
Absolutely. Then we move on to, man, this is interesting. We could see Texas, Georgia 3 times in the same year. That would be wild.
Yeah,
Because we got 10 Indiana and 7 Georgia right now projected in the first round matchup there. And oh, Indiana, that is a tough draw, if you ask me.
it is.
Tough
I
draw.
mean, yeah, that's brutal. But, that being said, Georgia, I mean, they're just hot and cold this year. Like, I kept expecting them to have, like, one of their cold games, which I have to bring up. I mean, they haven't had a cold game in years. Like, it's so weird that they've had, like, three or four this year.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm just waiting for them to just be Georgia of old, and I'm starting to wonder if that's going to happen. So, I mean, maybe potential upset there. I mean, I'm not gonna guess that. I'm not gonna predict that. But I mean, they just are hit or miss. It seems. So I mean, they got a shot, but either way, like you said, brutal draw for them. I mean, I wouldn't want to play those odds if I'm Indiana, but it's worth
I mean,
mentioning that Georgia struggled, and if they don't get it right, I mean, this is gonna be a tough go for them.
at the same time, man, they're still in the SEC title game. So
Yeah,
how
they
terrible
are.
have they really been? Like, don't get me wrong, they could be better. Carson Beck is holding them back a bit on the offensive side, I think, but still
Yeah.
in the SEC title game. And as we've talked about, SEC is a tough conference to
Oh
play.
yeah. Well, yeah, and
So
that's why they're in it. I mean, the SEC just beat the crap out of each other this year. I mean,
yeah,
there wasn't. I mean, we're used to Bama and Georgia playing in the SEC championship game, and they're both undefeated. Like that was not the case this year. Teams are just beating up on each other, and yeah, I mean, Georgia managed to come out on top, and yeah, they have a chance to win the SEC. But yeah, I mean, they haven't looked like Georgia, so I'm a little concerned there. I mean, I picked them to win the whole thing, so
that's fair.
yeah, it's a little concerning. But yeah, at the end of the day, they definitely should win that game. And then you brought up a really cool point there. I mean, they play Texas again now,
Yep,
and like you mentioned with Penn State, this is all probably going to change.
yep.
But yeah, it's still interesting. And yeah, we have another really awesome matchup too. Tennessee Ohio State on the other side. That's
Go
that could be
Vols.
that could be an amazing game also. I mean, both teams just really good on both sides of the ball most of the year, and yeah, I think that would be a blast. And then winner of that takes on Oregon, which I mean, get your popcorn. That's good too.
Oh yeah, I mean, go Vols. That's all I gotta say about that one.
Oh yeah,
Ohio
definitely,
State shits the bed.
no
I want to see
doubt.
them lose again. Losing 2 games in a row to end the season, the one that
Yeah,
takes you out of the Big Ten championship game, and then the one that takes you out of the playoff.
yeah.
Go sit with that, Will Howard. Go sit with that, Ryan Day.
And as you mentioned with Ryan Day, like, is his job in jeopardy and all that? And like I said, if he drops 10 points again in the first round, maybe it is in jeopardy. Tennessee's defense is elite. Like, there's actually like a real chance at Ohio State not putting up numbers again. And this matchup, I mean, like we said, it's all going to change, it's all going to shushle around, but these two are both not playing in
Yep.
their championship games for their conference. So I mean, they're probably still not going to stay there because there's going to be losers and winners that are ahead of them, and it's all going to get jacked up. But it would be interesting if that matchup happened. I really want them to stay like that, but yeah, I don't think they will.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I guess we shall see.
Yeah.
Let's move on and talk about championship weekend. I mean,
Actually, I have a question for you before we
yes,
go there. I'm just curious. So, out of these 12 teams, who are the three weakest teams to you?
3 weakest teams, I
Yeah,
think.
three weakest all around teams.
Arizona State, SMU, Boise State.
My exact three. And the reason why I asked that is because it's funny. You were picking two teams that have a bye.
Yep.
But yeah, I just looked at it when we were going over it, and I had that thought. I'm like, Two of these teams that have bye weeks are the weakest teams in here.
It's just the way the formatting works. I mean, it's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
it
Makes
is
it go a
cool.
little deeper, give them a better
It is
chance.
cool. And like we said too, like that first round, those matchups, I mean, they're crazy good now because of that. I mean, there's
You'll
not
get
the
more
only,
good football.
like with our logic there, the only rollover game is Penn State, Arizona State. Like every other game is like could
I'm not
really
trying to
go either
say
way.
that. Like Penn State would make it a game. I'm sure of it, but
Yeah, yeah. You know my point, but yeah, I see what
yeah.
you mean. They probably would make that close. But yeah, it's just interesting. But yeah,
So
let's talk about the championship games.
okay. Let's talk about the two that happened tonight. Um, I'll be honest, I was pretty locked into UNLV Boise State,
Yeah,
watching
me
them
too.
play Ashton Jaunty. But let's touch very quickly on Army Tulane, and I did pick Army here. Great choice.
Yeah,
Um, they dominated Tulane.
yeah,
Uh, wasn't a lot going on there, and I really wasn't surprised. Army's been very good this year. They really
yeah.
have. There's a reason they're ranked, and it's about what I expected.
Yeah, I mean, I picked Tulane for one. I was hoping for a bounce back after the Memphis upset last week, but yeah, I definitely missed the mark there. But much like you, I was watching Boise State, UNLV, but did some box score warrior and Army. I mean, it's classic. They just ran the ball all game, and Tulane never could figure out how to stop it. So Army won time of possession. They kept Tulane's defense on the field. I mean, so many like 7 minute plus drives. Like it just destroys teams when you do that. And then Tulane had two turnovers, and they turned it over on downs a few times. Like, it just, yeah. I mean, Army just dominated with the run and took care of them. I mean, I did not expect that. That final was 35-14. If Army was to win that, I would have guessed for a much closer game than that. But yeah, they were dominant.
That's fair. I mean, it's just been a common theme throughout this year. Some teams cannot throw the ball, but they're still winning games because for some reason, the opposing team cannot figure out how to
Yeah,
stop the run.
yeah,
And
dude,
stop the run when
freaking
there's
put
no
10 in the
threat
box.
of throwing the
Yeah,
ball.
put 10 in the
Like,
box.
I don't understand. Um, yeah, let's jump to UNLV Boise State. This was a tale of, I can't say two halves because it was the first three quarters and then the fourth quarter.
Yeah, right.
Boise State really dominated the first three quarters. I mean, UNLV played pretty stout defense overall, I
They
thought.
did.
Outside of Ashton Jaunty's 75-yard run,
Right.
I didn't feel like he had too many, you know, good runs, honestly. He was bottled up pretty heavily by them. They played him really well. But still, for the first three quarters, couldn't do anything, 21-0. Then you get to the fourth, and all of a sudden,
It was getting
Connor
sketchy.
Williams, he came alive. He came alive. They put up a quick 7, get the ball back. Sure looked like they had a chance. Stopped Boise State again. We're
Yeah,
driving. Get it in goal to go situation. Penalties. Penalties. Killed
yeah,
them.
that's what did them
First
in.
and goal at the 8. False start. Moving back to the 13. And anytime you're first and longer than 10, that's always tough.
Yeah,
And that was really the game right there, in my opinion. Ended 21-7, I believe. Boise
yep.
State taking it. And yeah, that was tough, but UNLV showed life, and that was good to see. They showed life in the fourth.
Totally. Yeah, they never quit. And like you said, Jaunty was pretty much one run in the first half. And then, I mean, you saw, like we see with the great backs in the NFL, as these games go on, they just get harder and harder to go against. And yeah, he ended up really sealing the deal for him. Got a bunch of first downs late in the game, 10-yard runs. I mean, he really sealed it, which, I mean, that's been their story all year. He's their guy. We know that. But yeah, like you said, UNLV looked really good. It was 14-0 at one point, and I still was like, this, like Boise needs to be careful here. Like you could
Yep.
see it could shift at any moment. And credit to Boise's defense, they just never really let it happen. And then, like you said, in the fourth quarter, it was starting to happen. I mean, they were going right down the field on Boise. And then, like you said, they ended up shooting themselves in the foot. And that really led to their downfall there. But yeah, despite the score, it was a very entertaining game. And yeah, it was never really out of reach for them until very late. So yeah, kudos to them. They're a good team. Curious to see who they end up going up against with in a bowl game.
Yeah, I got two things I want to go over before we move on to the next game, both regarding Ashton Jonty. One, did he look a little hobbled to you at the end of that game there? I thought he looked a little sore and tender maybe. I think he'll be fine, but he
Yeah, I
didn't look
mean
100%.
the guy hit a backflip right after the game, so I'm gonna say he's fine.
That's fair. And he will get an extra week of rest with the bye.
Yes, yes,
They
he
will
will.
definitely have that now.
Yeah, and I have a question for you too regarding him and honestly Boise State as a whole. Was
Yeah.
this a tough enough test for you to, you know, think that this team's legit? Like they have a chance to upset, even though they have the bye. Do you think they have a chance to upset when they play, or
I
are
mean,
they
they should
just
have a
not?
chance to upset. They got Ashton Jonty, and if he
Yeah,
is on one, and they could win any game. But I
yeah,
just think, it's one of those where it's like, I don't know, maybe 8 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10 times you play the game, the other team you're going
right.
up against in
Yeah,
this playoff bracket, they're gonna win. But Boise State wins one, maybe two.
yeah. And if you're
So
fortunate enough to get that one or two times, you're moving on.
exactly.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
you there.
Before we move on from Jonty, gotta talk about the Heisman debate a little
Yes,
bit, right?
he gets my vote.
He gets my vote too, and you know what? He deserves a lot more first place votes than I think he's gonna get. It's
Yeah,
sure
it's a
looking like
shame.
Travis Hunter is gonna win this award, and
Yeah, Vegas
nope,
certainly thinks so.
Vegas definitely thinks so.
Yeah, it's
But
not even close now. Like it, I guess it was his three touchdown game like last week. I'm not really sure where it went, like where it went from 50-50 to 90% Hunter. But yeah, that's where we're at now, and it's a shame. I mean, he just in this game even he moved up the rankings. Like he passed Marcus Allen now. Like I think he's third all time ever now, and as we mentioned, he's got another game at least. So hopefully he can take the crown. I think he's only going to need like 175, maybe 200 to do it, and that sounds like a big number,
only
but yeah,
175, 200. Come on.
it sounds like a big number, but this is what this guy averages, if not more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's just built different.
No, he
But, I
is.
mean, we'll see. He's going to go up against a better team. So, we'll see if that has any effect. But, I mean, I
He's
think it's
top.
kind of going to be like what we
Yeah.
saw
One of
tonight.
his
Like,
one of
there were a
his
lot
top
of bad
three
runs.
games. One of his top 3 games this whole year came against Oregon already, the number one ranked team in the nation.
Yeah,
So he's
that's
already
true.
done it, and it's just I really am just disappointed in how looking like it's going to go. To me, Ashton Jonty is an obvious winner. I don't even think it's close.
Yeah.
Um, but that's just not the world we're living in. People are fascinated by a guy just because he's on the field the entire
Yeah.
game.
The cardio
Which,
king.
yeah, to his
Cardio
credit, that is
king.
an amazing feat to be fit enough to play
Oh,
both
yeah.
sides consistently. But that doesn't mean you were the best player in college football. I'm sorry.
Right.
But anyways,
Amen.
that's enough. They're done playing football this year. I don't care about them anymore.
Right.
But let's talk about the other games to come tomorrow. Where would you like to start? We got 4 conferences left, sir.
Yes, we do. Well, let's start with the first game, Big 12. We got 16 Iowa State up against 15 Arizona State.
Yeah, I actually have the Cyclones taking this one and probably jumping into the playoff then
Yeah.
as the at-large 12 seed. I just think they're having a really great year. I think they're on a bit of a heater, even though
Right.
Arizona State's playing well. I just feel like everything's clicking right now for Iowa State when it needs to be, and when you get deep into the season, that's kind of what matters. So I think that'll carry over into this game, and even though Arizona State's at home, I think Iowa State will take this one in a close game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this will be a close game. I also went with Iowa State. Like I said, kind of a casual fan of theirs. Um, but yeah, like I also said, they're just a scrappy bunch, and I like scrappy, and I like it in a conference title game. You can if you give your team that extra possession, sometimes that's the difference. And I just think they take care of them. But like you said, Arizona State has been good. They have some good wins, especially as of late. They're kind of a hot team too. And yeah, to your point, I think it's gonna come down to the wire here. It should be a very good close game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Let's jump to the ACC. Clemson, SMU. Who'd you go with here? I am curious.
I went SMU.
I also went SMU.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went with them. It was tough. This was definitely the toughest one, in my opinion, out of all of them, including Mountain West and American, which we already covered. But yeah, this was my toughest one. And yeah, I went with SMU. I mean, it's Clemson's been in these moments, but it's really just Dabo at this point. I mean, none of the players have really. So yeah, I don't know. And SMU's just looked better. They've had a better year, and Clemson's been there's a chance of floppage with them. Like all year, it's just like a roll of the dice. It seems like some games they just can't get it going, and SMU's been pretty consistent. So yeah, I went with them.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And I think, kind of like I said about the last game, I think SMU is riding high this year. And I think they really like seeing themselves having a bye
Yeah,
and giving themselves maybe a chance to make a run because it's one less game they have to win and get some rest. So I think SMU just goes in here at home and beats Clemson in another, I think, close game.
yeah, yeah. Should be. All signs point towards it.
Yeah, absolutely. We got two left. Which one would you like to go to next, and which do we leave for last?
Well, let's go SEC.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to leave the one versus three for last. We just have to. But yeah, here we have five Georgia against two Texas. I'm taking Georgia. I'm
Also
taking
taking
them.
Georgia.
Yeah, you got it. Especially after, I mean, like I said, Georgia has had some rough weeks, and I mean, even last week we didn't even mention this, but the Georgia Tech game that was insane.
That was
Um,
crazy.
yeah, 8 overtimes, absolutely nuts. But yeah, Texas looked very rough last week. Like they looked like they were like early season form, like they needed to figure stuff out still. Like it
Oh yeah.
seemed like there was like little chemistry going on. And Georgia, I mean, this is what they do. They're here every year it seems. And yeah, Texas new to the SEC, like it just doesn't feel right
Yep.
them pulling this off. And yeah, I had to go Georgia. But another game that could be close.
Oh, I agree. This could. I feel like this one might have the feelings of a shootout, even though both
I hope
defenses are
so.
pretty good. I feel like we might see a shootout here. Just a gut feeling.
Yeah, it's got potential for a shootout, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Depends what Beck we get.
that is a very true statement.
And Ewers,
Um,
for that matter. I mean, he's had his off moments as well. I mean, even in the A&M game, he had moments
true.
where he did not look right.
Put an arch. He'll be fine.
Yeah, right. Dude, he has
Uh,
wheels, dude. I didn't realize he had the
oh yeah.
wheels like that.
No, it's impressive. It certainly did not get that from Peyton. That's for
No,
sure.
no, that's from his dad, the Frick Cooper, the receiver or whatever.
Yeah.
That's all him.
No, 100%. Um, but yeah, so that leaves us the Big Ten game. Number one, Oregon. Number three, Penn State. Thank you again, Ohio State. Appreciate you. Enjoy your weekend on the couch. Um, but yeah, this is a fun one. This is a fun one. And I just want to say before I start talking about this, James Franklin getting lucky. This guy. This guy. But you know what? I'll be damned. I think he takes advantage. I really do. Like, you know me. I picked Ohio State in the Penn State Ohio State game.
Hmm.
That's crazy. That's Ohio State. But this game, Oregon Penn State, for some reason, I feel like James Franklin finally capitalizes on a big game opportunity. I think he goes out there and wins this one. And I really do. And I think Aller's going to have a good enough game, and our defense is going to hold Oregon's offense to, I'm going to say under 21, and I think we'll get to
Wow.
21. So,
Yeah, if you do that, I agree. If you hold
yeah,
them to under 21, I think you got a good shot.
I'm
Um,
thinking 24-17 final score Penn State right now.
okay,
I'm just going to say.
nice, dude, nice. I wouldn't be mad about that. I mean, it's kind of like Georgia, Texas, like I was saying. Texas new to the SEC, Oregon new to the Big Ten. Don't let them do it. But
Yeah.
that being said, I did go with Oregon. I'm not convinced Franklin can win the big game. Like you said, it is mostly an Ohio State Michigan problem, but I mean that's also the only big games you guys play for the most part. So I mean we'll see, but I mean Oregon's the number one for a reason. They're a very good team. Um, but yeah, I could see it going either way. And like you said, it really hinges on your defense. I think your defense
Oh,
is one of the
absolutely.
best in the country. If you can hold them to under 21, I like your odds here. But yeah, I don't know that you'll be able to do that. And I also want to say I'm pretty sure Penn State is actually favored in this game.
I didn't think so. I
I
don't think
I
so.
saw it a few days ago and they were. I'm not sure if it changed at all, but I mean it wasn't much either. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they were actually favored in this one, which does come as a surprise to me.
I agree. That would surprise me personally.
Yeah, yeah, it
We'll have to
is.
look.
It's
We'll have to
surprising.
look after the pod. I'm
Yeah,
actually
we'll
quite
fact check
curious
it.
now.
We'll fact
Yeah.
check it. But
But
yeah, I went Oregon. But yeah, another great game. Like all of these conference games should be excellent. I mean, we saw a good one in Boise State, UNLV tonight. Like we said, didn't really tune in too much to Tulane Army, but didn't look like we really needed to. That's hopefully the biggest blowout we see,
hopefully.
and I think there's a good chance that it is. I mean, I don't really see any of these other teams winning by 21. So
Yeah. No, totally agree. I mean, I'm looking forward to the games tomorrow, and then I'm really looking forward to see how the playoff shapes up.
yes, oh yeah,
That's exciting. See the
yeah.
final
Well,
bracket, see where
yeah,
every team actually lands, what we're working with. For the
yes,
first
and
time, we're gonna have multiple rounds, so that's gonna be really
yeah.
cool.
Oh, it's gonna be amazing. I can't wait. And we're gonna find out Sunday while we're watching NFL. Like,
Yep,
oh, what a weekend.
it's gonna be a great weekend. And
Yes,
with that, we wrap up this special college edition of the
yes,
Palm City Chucks pod. We will be back at you next week, likely a combined episode again, to talk about the playoffs.
yes. Let us know
All
your
right.
predictions, people. We want to hear them.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Please leave a like, subscribe, and comment. We want to hear what you think too. What do you
Yes.
think's gonna happen?
All right.
And
Later,
with that,
PCC.